Hi, I'm Sandy Zuniga, the founder of Colorado Springs Town Tidings. Be in the know, on the go for all things Colorado Springs, delivered right to your inbox. Today, in our local business spotlight, we're connecting with a local center that plays a vital role in supporting families during one of life's most significant moments. I'm thrilled to introduce Lauren Silk, who is the marketing and outreach coordinator at Beginnings Birth Center right here in Colorado Springs. Beginnings Birth Center offers a different approach to pregnancy, birth, and postpartum care, focusing on supportive and personalized experience. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So I've got a few questions. The Beginnings Birth Center emphasizes a family-centered care approach. Can you elaborate on what that truly means in practice, especially for families who might be considered a birth center for the first time compared to a traditional hospital setting?
Yeah. So family centered for us means that we're listening. When our mothers to be come in or our gynecology women come in, they want to know that they are being heard. So whether that is talking about family planning, talking about their birth plans, they get ample time with our midwives to truly be heard. And then when we put it into practice, that means things like allowing children in our center during appointments and having tons of toys to play with to keep them busy. All the way through the birth experience, we don't have limitations on who can be in the birth setting. We let families choose that. So whether it's going to be a big birthday party with all the aunts and uncles and cousins, or it's going
Wow.
to be a more intimate affair with just mom and partner and maybe a child. All of those things are welcome in our center.
Wow. So this happens actually in your center. This isn't at their home or anything. They all come in and they've got, are you in a room right now?
I actually am in one of our birth rooms right now. I am in
Awesome.
Marie. All we have three birth rooms in the center, and they're all named after our founding midwife, Jolene, her grandmothers. So they're all decorated differently based on those personalities, but they all offer a lot of the same amenities. So adjustable beds and huge birth tubs, heated towels and blankets for the whole time that you're with us, beautiful window treatments. It's a very spa-like atmosphere in our birth rooms.
Oh, nice. So how does that feel different than the traditional hospital setting? What feedback have you gotten?
Um, a lot of times when people walk in, they go, "Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful," right? It's very serene in here. We turn the lights down low. We have humidifiers and essential oils going a lot of times. And it looks different from a hospital-based practice because when you come in labor to the birth center, we encourage movement. We encourage you to go through your labor with the birth plan that you have set out, really working with baby and with the experience that's going on. And not a lot of the traditional medical sides of things where there seems to be a lot of poking and prodding and questions. We've developed those relationships prior to going into labor. So we know our families very intimately, and we're able to give them that very, very personal experience inside these rooms.
So how early should they start contacting you when they get pregnant?
You can come to beginnings right after you have peed on that little pink stick. right? Um, so we do all prenatal care from the very beginning all the way through. We offer in our facility the ultrasounds that you're going to need during your span of pregnancy. We do the testing that we need to do here. You'll meet all of the midwives. So we can really help throughout the entire pregnancy, but that's not to say, even if you've started your journey in a more traditional setting, we also can just transfer records over here and just kind of take off from where you have been in the point of care with a OBGYN or other based midwife.
Great. Do you work in conjunction with an OBGYN, or is this basically you take over and then once that's done, they go back?
Yeah, so we are full practicing, full scope. So our midwives are certified nurse midwives and have the ability under their licensure to not be working under an OBGYN. So, especially when insurance is involved, we fill that same role as an OBGYN. So, you would choose one path or the other. You wouldn't see them in duplicate care.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the owner, Jolene, and what motivated her and why this came about as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, Jolene worked her way through hospital-based practices. Of course, she's a nurse, she's a veteran, and came out to Colorado Springs to work in an OBGYN hospital-based practice, and quickly found a need here in Colorado Springs to be able to bridge that gap between home birth practice and hospital based practice. So she left the hospital setting and did start a home birth practice for a little while with the intent of getting that clientele into a birth center. So she was able to fulfill that dream and open Beginnings Birth Center. And we are one of, I think, only three or four birth centers in all of Colorado.
Okay.
And we are mostly serving everywhere south of Denver, but also the Western Slope and out in the Eastern Plains. We have people travel from all over, and she is just she glows when she talks about what she calls her fifth baby, right? She has four children, but she says that she's past the toddler stage now. We've really gotten our roots into being a part of Colorado Springs, and are just very, very blessed to be providing all of the care that we do.
Wow. And then what actually brought you to the birth center?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I was a doula here in Colorado Springs, so private support for childbirth for 10 years.
Wow.
And during that time, I actually got to practice with Jolene in those hospital settings, in her home birth settings.
Oh.
And after 10 years of doula work and being on call, I kind of wanted to dip my toe in doing some hours with the birth center. But the connection between the staff and myself and Jolene was felt very, very early on. And I became a permanent member of this team and don't do doula work anymore. But it's definitely the wonderful birth world here that we have in Colorado Springs kind of come full circle.
Right. So you already had a history and a propensity for births and pregnancies. And so even though you are marketing and outreach, which we are trying to get the word out so more people know about it,
Yes.
you fit right in and you can speak their language and know what's happening. So that is
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it creates a wonderful bridge. I'm as excited about the families that come into the birth center almost as they are. I am kind of a birth nerd, but enjoy my job of being able to talk to anybody I can possibly get my hands on about this wonderful space.
Absolutely. Do you have any children?
I do. I have four,
Oh my goodness,
ranging.
you're too
Yes,
young to have four kids.
I do have four kids. I have they're ranging from 14 and in her freshman year of high school all the way down to 2 years old. And my 2 year old was actually born here at Beginnings Birth Center.
I was going to ask you that. So you have not only did you have the background, you have the actual experience of
Yeah,
giving birth in the birth center. So my goodness, you can talk about this all day long. You're right.
absolutely. My favorite topic.
Awesome. So do you have anybody that comes in or is this popular or is it one way or the other? When people come in to experience this, do some of them already have children and have had the hospital experience and now they're doing this? Or is it basically they start with you guys and then haven't had that? Or maybe a mixture?
Um, there definitely is a mixture. I would almost say 50-50 on some of that. We do have a lot of first-time moms that are looking for a more holistic, more natural approach to childbirth. It's very popular in our culture now to, know about the food that you're putting in your body and the
True.
medicines that you're taking and the
Yep.
exercise and just taking really good care of yourself, that leads you down the path of some of this more natural experience. So we do have those first time moms that seek that out from the beginning. And then we have a lot of people that come to us after experiencing what it's like to have a baby in the hospital setting and having something in that really not sit well with them, and are looking for a better birth experience, a more connected birth experience, and a more intimate relationship with the person that's going to be in their room medically helping them. So,
Okay. Wow, that is a mixture. And what happens? Do you have or even take any high risk kind of pregnancies? Or, what happens if something goes wrong? What happens in here?
yeah, absolutely. So, our caregivers, our midwives are very well versed in all things pregnancy, and things do come up during pregnancy that we may need a different set of skills for. And at that point, we would definitely reach out to those other care providers um, in our community and find the right place for that woman to be. But a lot of things that may be considered high risk in some other offices, we don't actually think that that means that they can't experience this kind of care. Things that are out there a lot of times are like age of a woman. We don't have an age cap on how old you can be to have a baby here. There are some other things um, that come up are like weight. We definitely talk a lot about nutrition here, but also do not have a hard and fast rule about that as long as we're being good to our babies and being good to our bodies. And then I think the last one that can kind of get thrown in there is women who are trying to have a vaginal birth after a C-section. We have a wonderful high rate of success with getting moms that vaginal birth experience after they've had a C-section.
Oh, wow.
So we also don't consider that high risk either. All of these things are aided by the fact that we require some of our moms who are coming into our experience to hire doulas, which is that private birth support, right? And they're a really good place to start when we're doing all of our educating, and letting moms know how they can get through this experience. They have that extra person in their corner to ask questions and get support from.
So is a doula not part of your team, or is that just an extra person that you recommend but don't require?
Hiring a doula would be required for our VBAC moms, those moms that have had a cesarean prior. Also for moms who chose to have an epidural for their last birth, because they haven't experienced an unmedicated birth yet. And then for our first time moms. So that is a requirement. We have a list of what we call approved doulas who are the best of the best here in Colorado Springs. But we're not financially connected to these women. They do own all of of their own companies here in Colorado Springs and do childbirth education, postpartum work, along with their doula care.
Is there a reason why it's not part of the beginnings birth center? I mean, there may be plenty of reasons, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, curiosity,
Putting
right?
you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We like to keep it financially separate because we do have that requirement. We would never want our families to think that we're doing this for any kind of financial gain. The ask to have that doula present is really just for the benefit of the mom and the success that she will have with that doula. It changes her statistics of what kind of birth experience she's going to have just by having that person in the room. So lower rates of C-sections, lower rates of asking for pain medication, lower rates of postpartum depression, all of that is included in having a birth doula. And we just like to keep kind of apples and oranges of like our midwives provide medical care and doulas provide emotional and physical support. So because they're not under our medical umbrella, it's best to keep those two teams a little bit separate.
Okay. Wow, that's a great explanation, and that was wonderful. Thank you.
Of course.
So what's interesting is I've always heard, and I'm not the only one, that if you had a C-section, you cannot have a vaginal birth and you always have to have a C-section. So that's interesting that
Yeah,
you guys say, okay, that's not the case. So that
it's
really
not the
opens up
case.
the doors for women who've had C-sections and, like you said, want to experience different or don't want to be cut open again. And,
Yep. When we're talking about VBACs too, a lot of times, risks come up. Some big scary things saying, like, oh, this could happen to you or that could happen to you. And that's coming from a place of fear, of course, but a lot of times they also don't talk about the risk about going into or with anesthesia, having multiple abdominal surgeries.
right.
The more times you have anesthesia and surgery, the higher the risks are there. So there's really some benefit risk analysis that needs to be done. And with such a high success rate here, we can really show women that it's safe to have a vaginal birth after most cesareans.
So I bet you want to caution women who have had C-sections and thinking about they wish they didn't have to have it again, to not Google, to go
Yeah,
ahead and just contact you guys, have a
of course.
conversation, and just see, don't Google first, go ahead, have the conversations, then if you want to go look stuff up afterwards. But you guys have been through it, you have people who are success, and it's different than what we've been told.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of that that surrounds pregnancy. I always tell women like, don't Google anything because it all sounds scary, right? None of us would have babies if all of those things were true, for sure. But our practice is very in tune with providing evidence-based information and encouraging our clients to be extremely educated about their bodies and about this time in their life, in all times in their life. So education is a huge part of what we do so that parents can go on to feel like they are making the best decisions because they have been able to understand the information that's been given to them.
Right. Great. Okay, so and then your website mentions being the only facility in Southern Colorado offering water birth. What are the key benefits of water immersion during labor and birth, and what makes this option appealing to expectant mothers?
Yeah. So I did mention, that we are doing unmedicated birth here. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't provide coping tools and things to make this a little easier on mom. The tub is definitely one of those things, right? About 70% of our babies are born in the water. The benefits that come from us, the very first one off the bat is pain relief, right? Hydrotherapy, getting your body into that deep water. Our bathtubs are really huge. I think we've fit like 7 midwives in there before.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
so it allows mom to move around more easily and work with her body and work with the waves. Of course, the hot water is very, very relaxing. It also softens the tissue for the delivery process of babies. So it minimizes the risk of having any tears during the delivery process. It offers a more gentle experience for the baby. They are coming from a water environment and then going into a body temperature water environment. So it's a lot less shocking. A lot of our babies don't even cry when they're born
Oh,
because it takes them a minute to realize that they are earthside,
they are
truthfully.
out.
Yeah, they're out. They're like, oh, this is new, right? So it's very calming, very relaxing, and pain relieving for mom. So water birth, I definitely am a believer and have had my babies in the water, and I like to joke that like I will never have a land baby again, right? um, and it's also been called like nature's epidural. So,
Right.
not only that, but we have lots of tools, slings and rebozos, which are different tools for movement, birth balls, and we even offer nitrous oxide during the labor process if that's something that the parents want.
Okay. So is the water recycled all the time? How do you keep it warm?
Yeah. So our tubs do not use jets that we would not be able to maintain cleanliness in that ability there. So they are just big basin tubs. In order to cycle out the water, we just open up the drain and then fill the tub back up with hot water. And they are insulated, so they hold their heat really, really well.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering, I'm like, is there a mat, like a heated mat or something like that
No.
to put in? Or, there's got to be a pretty good way to keep the heat in. I mean, when we take baths, we know that it's really hot putting your foot in it. It's like, because you want to make it last, you put your foot in, it's like, oh, it's too hot, it's too hot. Then you finally get in, you're in there for like 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, now it's cold again.
Aw. We definitely do keep mom and baby comfortable the whole time. Our goal is to keep it at body temperature so that baby recognizes that and there's no shock to mom or baby. We don't really want to raise her temperature up too much, but we definitely don't want it to drop down. So we keep on top of that.
Right. So I'm not familiar though. Um, when the baby's delivered and it goes into the water, I don't know how high the water is, but when the baby goes in there, do you go ahead and grab them up right away so they can start breathing? Or I mean, because once they come out of the womb, they have to breathe on their own.
hmm So they're going from a water environment to a water environment. So their contact with the air and their first exposure for their lungs does not happen until they're lifted out. And once we're out of the water, we don't ever go back under because that's when it would become dangerous for baby, right? But in those moments of transition from being birthed into the water and then coming up to mom's chest. We can take a little bit of time, a couple of seconds there. Everybody can take a deep breath and really settle themselves back in the space. And then mom usually reaches down with the midwife cradling the baby for her, and she brings her baby up to the air, and that moment in between water to air, when that contact happens on baby's skin, that's when they have their first trigger to open their lungs and their alveoli. So
Oh,
the
wow.
pressure chain doesn't change from mom's womb to underwater, and they just don't expand their lungs under there.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for that. I had no idea, and I always wondered about that. I'm like, what the heck? So basically, when we're born, we could be amphibian for a little bit, and
I
then
had somebody say that the other day. They're like, so if we just never come out, if we were born in the water and just never come out, do we turn into Aquaman? I was like, I'd rather not test that theory, but
I agree with you. But I mean, that's really interesting, and I'm sure that's a question that many do have. So thanks for answering that so eloquently.
yeah, our amazing anatomy and physiology is it's mind blowing. But yeah, they're safe. It's very, very safe.
Awesome. So beyond pregnancy and birth, Beginnings Birth Center offers services like well woman care, lactation support, and newborn care up to, I think it said 28 days. Could you
Mhm.
explain how these services provide comprehensive support for women and new families, potentially easing the transition into parenthood, especially if they're first-time parents?
Yeah. The postpartum is definitely a sacred time for families. There is a lot of change that has happened for those families. And so we are adamant about providing support for women in these days and weeks to come after postpartum, and in that transitional period with baby. One of the biggest ways we can do that is by seeing mom and baby together. We don't have to report to two different entities, meaning a pediatrician and an OBGYN, because what affects the newborn is probably affecting mom, and what's affecting mom is probably affecting that newborn. They are a dyad, and so we want to treat them as such. So we see families together in the postpartum. Their very first time being seen will be just 24 to 48 hours after the birth. We like to get them home and tucked into bed so that they can rest and bond together. But then we want to have that check in to make sure that we've turned the corner from birth, that baby is feeding well. And we also have some things that we need to do for our Colorado birth certificates, some testings for baby that are required in that time frame. After that, we're going to usually check in at the 2 week mark as well. Again, more nice big transitions. Baby should be well above birth weight at this time. Mom and baby should be settling into their relationship a bit better. And we're able to see a good picture or be able to see any hurdles that that family has come up against in these first 2 weeks and hopefully nip those so that they can experience a blissful postpartum together. And then, of course, we're going to do our 6 week checkup for mom. That's the fun one where we get the A-OK to go back to exercise and intimacy. So that's kind of the side of it where we're able to take care of them in the postpartum. We do circumcisions here for babies. Our midwives perform those. And as far as lactation support in this time, we are a site for Mother's Milk Bank. So we are able to provide the community with donor human breast milk and also a lactation support group for our clients as well that meets once a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
So
lots of care for mom and baby. lots of
absolutely.
lots of eyes on what's going on so that they can transition well.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to switch focus a little bit.
Sure.
For our audience, they may not be in pregnancy, um, period.
Mhm.
So many might be supporting younger family members through pregnancy. What are the main reasons, thinking of that group, what are the main reasons for a family might choose a birth center like yours, and what kind of environment and support can they expect throughout the entire process from prenatal care to postpartum on the supporter side, on the mother or the friend or something who isn't having the baby, but why they would even um, bring that up to them.
Yeah. Um, this is always a very cool experience to have when I'm talking about the birth center to a mom or an auntie, those supportive people in lives. We have gone through some of these transitional things as we have, been humanizing, right? A long time ago, but in every one of our family's histories, there's been a baby born at home. Right. Midwives were how babies were welcomed into this world forever and ever and ever, it seems like. And then we did kind of go off on this scientific, um, uh, medical pathway where birth became a very uninvolved, very sterile thing that happened only behind closed doors and only in a hospital setting, especially when the options of epidurals came around, right? But we kind of got away from the ability to know our power as women and have that experience of having your family, your moms, your aunts who had all experienced birth themselves, helping what are you supposed to be doing? How is this supposed to feel? And so we bring a piece of that community back to this, and when women bring are with their children, right? So either mother-in-law or mother of the expecting family come in and they see this, they're always like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I wish we had this when I was having babies. And we hear that time and time and time again. And they love the fact that they can have open conversations about like what's happening with her right now, what stage of pregnancy is this, how can I be supportive, how can we be connected as a family. But they also really love the piece that we are able to provide outstanding medical care for their families too, in things like when we present them with our C-section rates, right? So the C-section rate here in Colorado Springs at our medical facilities sits around 25 to 27%, I believe, of moms needing a C-section. And our C-section rate sits closer to the like between 6 and 9%. So the risks of some of the things that can happen in labor and delivery are very, very low here. And if something were to happen in our facility that required medical treatment, we have the medical equipment and medical expertise here inside of our facility. So these families know that their loved ones are safe. And they love being able to be involved, but also knowing that they are getting absolutely the best care out
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that and posing it in a way that the supporters can really get their minds around that.
there. Yeah.
So, could you share a success story or a particular rewarding experience that illustrates the positive impacts Beginnings Birth Center has on a family in our community? And no names, obviously, but
No names, no
anything.
names. Right. Um, you know, we welcome many, 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 many babies here. Um, and I think truly the most rewarding part of this and those success stories happen in these moments that we are so blessed to be able to be a part of. But it's in a woman finding her strength, right? Childbirth is not easy. It is a journey. It is hard work. They don't, they definitely call it labor for a reason. But you see these moms go through the transitions of being very, very excited because they can feel their contractions and today's baby day, and winding down that path of like, oh my gosh, can I actually do this? This is extremely intense for me. I'm glad to be where I am and I have the support that I need, but there's fear involved, and there is body experiences that are just way out there, and then they work and they get to the top of that mountain, and they welcome their babies most of the times into their own hands, and seeing that expression on their face of like, I freaking did it. Like, I did it. I did it. Um, we have uh, some beautiful pictures of a mom just like pumping up her fist and being like, she has her baby on her chest and I conquered this. And I am so strong and we are here together. And just, the dads cry and there's kisses going on, and then baby cries for the first time. And it it's an absolutely beautiful experience each and every time it happens, and that's why we do this work, is this beautiful experience of showing women their power, and helping them find that space, and really having these amazing moments that bring families even closer together, like seeing your family member triumph over that, and meeting a new baby for the first time in these calm environments is miraculous.
So it's not any one or two specific cases that you can think of. It's a conglomerate of the
It's
whole feeling, and pretty much almost every mother and family has a similar feeling or outcome as they go through this process. Is that what
Yeah,
you're telling
yeah,
me?
I am. um,
Great.
there, even in our stories of transfer, um, even if we do have to go over to the hospital, which is just less than 2 miles up the road here, and we need to invite some more expertise to the party, even those moms, when they go through this with that piece of I'm educated and I can make the decisions about my body, and no matter how those babies do end up having to come into the world, we have review after review after review saying thank you for showing me that I could do this, and then I can have the birth that I wanted no matter how it turns out. So
Right.
it's very cool and it happens all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Sounds like it. So, do you find that there is a certain socioeconomical class or race or um, income group that come here, or is it a total mix?
We are very fortunate that we are able to help families of all situations, on all backgrounds. Here at the birth center, our owner is um, very set on being able that to keep things in place that make sure that we can help um, families of all types here. So we take Medicaid and CHP plus. We take TRICARE, and with all of the mixed demographics that Colorado Springs can offer us, with all of our military bases and those kinds of things, it's a blessing being able to really not say that we're for one kind of family only. We get to serve all women, no matter what socio or economic background they have.
Yeah, you get to serve them, but do you see a any particular group come in general, or is it truly a mixture?
It's truly a mix. It's
Cool,
truly a mix. Yeah. Mhm.
cool. And then I was going to ask you about insurance because I know you said you take it. And
Yeah.
so is that, I mean, you just gave us a couple of um, examples. What's the best way for them to find out if you guys take their insurance?
Yeah, always the best way to find out if your insurance policy covers Beginnings Birth Center is to call the number on the back of your card. That's how you are going to be able to reach somebody that can explain your benefits to you, and see if Beginnings Birth Center as a facility is listed under that. We take most major insurances. I already mentioned a couple there.
Sure.
Medicaid, TRICARE, CHP Plus, but also well into the spectrum of independent insurances, private insurances. So Cigna and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, and even sharing plans like Good Samaritan or MediShare are things that we can definitely work with. We have a dedicated billing team that are all sorts of fun. They're a hoot. Um, and another good way to get started is to call in or text us. You can text the line that's listed on any of our web pages or social media and get an answer from our insurance crew on what your benefits look like. But most insurance policies cover us, so it's great.
Right. That's great because I know having to deal with insurance in general, we look up providers and all this stuff. And how many times is that list outdated? Or,
Oh yeah.
it's not there. So an easier way is to text or call you guys and for you guys to look up the policy and all that stuff and let you know. Because I've even called my insurance and say, is such and such covered under there? And they give me the whole spiel. Well, they open up the book and they read what I could read too. And I'm like, okay, I called you because it didn't answer the question.
Right.
So sometimes it is better just to go to you guys. You got, you know what you're looking for, and you can tell us, if it's covered, and then go from there.
Yeah. One of the things that we do actually for every family is we run what's called a verification of benefits. So we'll actually contact their insurance groups for them, and get an estimate of what the insurance policy thinks that they're going to owe for this event. And then once we get that number back for them, we actually break it down and have them do some installments for some of the payments if they're trying to meet a deductible or things like that to
Oh,
make having a baby more affordable for the families.
and less stressful.
Yeah, way less stressful.
Having a baby is stressful enough, although you guys make it calmer. But it's especially if it's your first one, you don't know what to
Not knowing what that's
expect.
going to cost. Yeah.
To cost or to expect. So if you guys are helping with that, so not only, I mean, we covered all the other things from before birth, during birth, after giving birth. And now you're also putting that financial is a huge issue for all of us in general. But when you're having a baby and the baby's coming no matter what. So you've got to you have expenses, but if you guys are working with them and trying to find a good plan or a way, then that at least takes the financial into the known as opposed to unknown and allows them to experience the pregnancy and birth and everything in a better way than, oh my gosh, I'm worried about the hospital costs.
Yeah. That's a great way to put that. I hope that's how all of our families feel. We try really hard to yeah, to kind of keep the ball in their court so that they can, like you said, focus on the pregnancy.
Exactly. So, where can they find you?
You can definitely find us on the web, right? That's where everybody goes. So beginningsbirthcenter.com is how you can start off. You can message us there and get started for pregnancy or gynecological well woman care. Either one can get started on that. We have social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. It's all just Beginnings Birth Center. So it's pretty easy to find us. And we're located in the Springs on 9475 Briar Village Point, which is right in between Memorial Hospital North and the Promenade Shops. So we're right between them.
Oh, okay. And is that Briargate area? Is
Yes, it
that what
is.
it's called? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you that you want to make sure people know?
We focused a lot today on birth and pregnancy and making families feel welcome. But with this well woman care that we kind of just glanced over, I just wanted to let everybody know that we can offer birth control options. We have a holistic healthcare provider that can talk about preconception. Or hormone fluctuations in life. We can see people for breast exams, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So we like to say that we do everything from like first periods to postmenopause and beyond. And definitely, if you have females in your family, which I think we all do a little bit. That's how we get here, right? It's just a great, welcoming, trauma informed, education based um, healthcare that you can truly feel empowered in your choices in.
wow. I guess I didn't realize it. So, do you have services for older women,
Uh,
menopause, postmenopause, or?
Yeah, so even if you've gone through those changes in life, it doesn't mean that you should stop making sure that your systems are healthy. So we can still do those well woman visits. Pap smears aren't necessarily needed as often, but women still experience things like vaginitis and UTIs and that kind of thing. So we can absolutely see women who are past their childbearing age for other issues that they have, with our female anatomy.
Okay. But what about hormone stuff? Yes or no?
So Lizzie, I'm not sure how far Lizzie, our midwife Lizzie, goes on all of that. I know that all of us here at the birth center see her so that we know that we're doing the right things for our bodies, and these crazy things called hormones. And she does a lot of counseling on how to support your body nutritionally and that kind of stuff. And if she ever got into an area of things that she didn't have the exact answer for, then she absolutely would know where to look next. So it could be a good stopping point of being like, I'd like to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to support the changes in my life. And then if we get into some trickier areas, we can always reach out to friends.
Oh, great. Great information. And it's always good to have somebody who, even though they don't have the answer, knows where to go.
Yes, absolutely.
We all need those in our lives.
Yes, that's why we work on evidence-based information, right? If we don't know the answer, we're going to find it for you because we're not just going to spout off, something that we think you might want to hear. Let's make sure that we're doing the research and can get you the right answers.
Right. Well, great. That was incredibly insightful, Lauren. Thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us today and for shedding the light on a wonderful work being done at Beginnings Birth Center. It's clear that the personalized, family-centered approach you offer provides such valuable support for families here in Colorado Springs and surrounding areas, whether it's for expectant parents themselves or for those supporting younger family members through this journey. We've learned about the unique services like water birth and the comprehensive care extending beyond birth, which is truly fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be a part of this community.
I agree. And for anyone listening who is interested in learning more about Beginnings Birth Center, perhaps for themselves, a daughter, a friend, you can find more information on their website. We'll be sure to include those links in the show notes for this episode. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the local business spotlight on Colorado Springs Town Tidings. We hope this conversation has been informative and helpful. Remember, you can always stay in the know on the go for all things Colorado Springs by subscribing to our newsletter at cos.towntidings.com. You can also find this interview and other local content on our YouTube channel, Colorado Springs Town Tidings. That's it for this episode. I'm Sandy Zuniga, and we'll catch you next time on Colorado Springs Town Tidings Local Business Spotlight.